Hello and welcome back to Kendo Nagasaki 101, the channel where you can find out all about the mystical and spiritual work of Kendo Nagasaki, the masked wrestler and mystic. My name is Atlantis and I'm the current spokesperson for Kendo. Okay, we're picking up from the video where Yugensha, the young man who was to wear the mask of Kendo Nagasaki, was making stellar progress in judo and as a healer and as regards the development of his spiritual awareness and strength. He had received the highest possible honour from his judo master and spiritual sensei, Kenshiro Abbe, and seemed to be on the fast track to Olympic greatness. But, as we shall see, destiny can be a very complicated matter. Looking back on that unique time in history, there can be little doubt that the relationship between Kenshiro Abbe and Yugensha was destined. Whilst it was true that Yugensha possessed an enormous amount of raw talent, it was when it began to be forged on the anvil of Abbe's philosophy, teachings and insight that the result could be seen to be far more than the sum of the parts. As part of his relentless upward progress, Yugensha virtually breezed through the heats for the 1961-2 British Judo Council Northwest Heavyweight Championship, which he proceeded to win in some style, followed by winning the actual national 1961 BJC Judo Heavyweight Championship. This was the first ever national championship for the British Judo Council, the organisation which Abbe had set up in 1958, and Yugensha was its first ever national heavyweight champion. As he had employed Abbe's teachings, it could not be denied that they had found most fertile ground indeed in young Yugensha. Abbe himself could hardly have been more satisfied that the principles of judo which he taught were being seen to be superior to the traditional ones. At this point, it's worth taking a bigger picture look at this dynamic. Abbe had come to the United Kingdom in 1955 in order to teach judo, but he also brought his own radical new approach to judo practice, which he hoped would find approval and acceptance among the British judoka. The fact that Yugensha quickly became able to defeat older, more experienced and higher graded opponents was certainly a testament to Abbe's genius, not to mention Yugensha's considerable natural talent, but there was, as they say, a backstory. Abbe has long been described as a mystic as well as a judoka, and this is most certainly accurate, but few realised how truly profound his vision was. Abbe's revolutionary judo techniques were certainly a product of his experience and skill, but fundamentally they were also informed by an inspiration that bordered upon revelation. Over many years, Abbe had envisaged, tried and perfected an approach to judo which greatly increased the effectiveness of its moves, and this was achieved through skillful positioning and very creative use of leverage. What he had developed had its roots more in philosophy than mere application, so his judo was less about pure strength and more about how one harmonized with surrounding systems. In this view, an opponent can be considered to be a system which, if understood properly, can be easily controlled. Abbe called his system Kendo, and Yugensha's success as a judoka was the clearest and most effective vindication that it could possibly have had. And yet, we find destiny lurking in the background with, as we can see in hindsight, what seems to be a troubling agenda. By the time of Yugensha's successes, Abbe had been developing Kendo for some 25 years, and before he came to the United Kingdom, he had attempted to introduce it to the teaching of judo in Japan. Unfortunately, however, an old saying with which we're familiar in the West seemed to plague him: a prophet is not accepted in his own country. True to this dry observation, Abbe found his ideas rejected outright by the Japanese martial arts establishment as a threat to their precious traditions. And so, despite repeated attempts to introduce his new approach to judo, his revolutionary vision seemed to have no future at home. And yet, despite destiny having apparently slammed this particular door in Abbe's face, across the seas Great Britain beckoned, so Abbe went in search of pastures new, and he found them, and in Yugensha, Kendo had more than a fighting chance. We are now into late 1962, and whilst his progress in judo continued, Yugensha was about to realise another triumph. He picked up a minor shoulder injury years earlier, soon after he began judo. He recovered, but suffered a small loss of strength in his shoulder, so he decided to try weight training to overcome the injury. Between judo classes, he still weight trained every week, and the consequences of this stands out as a frankly preposterous example of Yugensha's natural power and ability. He became a heavyweight championship weightlifter whilst barely even trying. As with so many disciplines before, Yet no doubt aided by his studies of Abbe's Kendo, Yugensha showed such complete adaptation to and mastery of weightlifting that he won the 1962 Society of Amateur Weightlifters British Olympic Championship heavyweight class. And he also went on to win the same championship the following year in 1963. It was therefore no wonder that Yugensha was so effective in judo. Whilst Abbe's approach taught that technique was more effective than mere strength, when you have both, you're unstoppable. And so, with Abbe's teaching having found the best possible home in the brilliant Yugensha, they both looked with increasing confidence towards a glowing future, the Olympics and beyond. In recognition of Tokyo holding the 1964 Olympics, this would be the first time that judo would appear as an Olympic discipline, and Abbe must have relished the thought of his British protege taking such a fearsome challenge back to face his doubters at home in Japan. Yugensha's victory there would be earth-shattering. Well, once again, I'm afraid my time is up for this video, so please do come back to hear some more about the great Kendo Nagasaki. Thank you for watching, I'm Atlantis, and I hope to see you all again very soon. So, as Kendo would say, onwards, bye bye.